All right, I'm going to hop on and teach you on this 8.1 homework. I'm going to work a couple of examples for you to understand what you're doing. I'm not going to work the problems that you are going to do on your own. I will pick a couple that you will not be doing. So for instance, number 2, make sure that you are squaring 16, as in like that. Okay, if you are not squaring and you're square rooting, you're going to get the wrong answer. So number 2, if I was to work this, I would be getting 256. I'm going to see if I can adjust my camera so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. All right. Let's take, for instance, number 5, which is not on your homework. The problem is 23c squared, and you have to square the whole thing. So if I was doing this, I would square the whole problem. So that means I have to square my 23, which would give you 529. I do not know this by heart, but you can use a calculator or work out the problem if you want to go old school. Then you do c squared and square that. When you have it written like that, remember that if you have the two together, you actually multiply your exponents like this. Okay, so you would end up with 529 c to the 4th power. Then let's try an example like number 15. We're going to go to number 16 and work that one. If you have the square root of 49, hopefully you have this memorized. That would be 7 as the principal root. You are not going to write it as plus or minus 7 because we are writing it as the principal root. Okay, let's take something that is like 20, where you have the square root of a negative number. You cannot take the square root of a negative number, not yet. When you get to Algebra 2, you will. So this would be considered not real. Okay, if you, let's say, had a problem, I'm going to make up a problem because if I don't, I'll give you the answer on the problem that you're doing. And I don't want to do that. Okay, so let's say you have the square root of 63. All right, that is not, um, here, scratch that. I'm going to give you a better one. Let's say we have the square root of 15. There is no perfect square on that. So our answer for that, according to your instructions, is just to write the word irrational. Because if you actually type that into your calculator, you would find it's a decimal of some sort. Okay, let's try something like 24. You have the square root of 144 x squared z to the 6th power. Okay, and we are going to look at that as in what can we break that down to. So we know that the square root of 144 is 12. So we pull that out outside of the square root. So the answer for that, this part, is down here, and we'll do the 12. I'm going to try something. Let's see. Sometimes if I can autofocus on my thing, it's a little bit easier, but it's not seeming to get any clearer than that picture. I apologize. Maybe we can try something like, nope, didn't work. Okay, so we'll just continue on this. If that confused you, I apologize. So 144 square rooted is 12. And if we took this, basically what we're doing, just so that you can see this, is we're breaking this down into individual parts. Okay, like doing each one. So what is the square root of x squared? We would get x. Okay, what is the square root of z to the 6th power? That would end up being something like this. If you look at z to the 6th, That's the same thing as having these two amounts multiplied. So z to the third times z to the third, same thing. So if I have that, just like, I'm going to give you an example, just like if I had the square root of 7 times 7 would be 7, right? This would be z to the third. So you're just pulling out one of them. So I'm going to come over here, and this would be z to the third, and that would be my final answer. Okay? Hopefully that helped. Um, one more type of problem. If, let's say, for instance, you were doing something like 33, okay, and you had the cube root of -8, okay, we're looking at what multiplied 3 times is -8. Well, if we have a negative, in order for that to be happening, we know all of these need to be negative. Okay, so what number? Remember, this number has to be the same thing in order to get to 8 for it to be the cube root. So 1 times a -1 times a -1 times a -1, that would be just -1. We're looking for -8. So let's go up a problem. So -2 times -2, that would be a +4, times a -2, that would be a -8. So we found our answer. Okay, so this is equal to, I'm going to make sure that I've written this correctly. This is equal to the cube root of the -2 times the -2 times the -2. So your final answer, sorry, scratch that. This is why I don't use pen in class, okay, because I make all these mistakes, okay? So scratch that. So the answer to this is -2. Okay, because you took 3 of these and you're taking the cube root. So when you're taking the cube, you're only using one part. Okay, notice the only time that it can be a negative on the answer and it'd be okay, and not like this one up here where it's not real, is when the index, this number right here, is an odd number, because we know if we multiplied negative numbers an odd amount of time, you can still get a negative number. All right? Hopefully you're doing well. Here's your smiley face for today, and hopefully this recorded just fine, and I'll talk to y'all later.